Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the 18th video in this SummerSlam rewind, going back and watching each and every single SummerSlam ever. Today, we are finally getting into 2010. But hey, before we get into that, is your dong bad news? You don't have to bear it. Get Blue Chew code Denise. Blue Chew is the chewable tablet that helps you have better sex. Make sure to check out the link in the description box below for more information. But now let's go ahead and jump into the year 2010. All right, so this is another SummerSlam that I got to attend. And of course, what I'm doing now is bringing up some memorabilia and whatever I have from some of these shows. I'm really excited about 2011 and the ones moving forward because I got a lot of stuff there. But for this one, I did find my ticket stub for 2010. Let me see. I was sitting in section 107 for $75. I got to tell you, that's a really good price for section 107. August 15th, 2010. Man, presented by Slim Jim. I'm really happy that I saved all of these ticket stubs. I don't know, it's just a piece of the past, like even tickets like this we don't always get. Everything now is on our phones, and so it just feels like so nice to actually hold a physical ticket with a really decent price, by the way. And also, I went on my Facebook and I did find a couple of little Facebook posts that I did share. SummerSlam weekend begins tomorrow. Yay, me. It's always kind of embarrassing to read your Facebook posts, especially because I'm always super enthusiastic. And so that's what I posted the day before. And here's a good one that I wanted to share. So, August 15, 2010, I shared the most awesome thing happened tonight after SummerSlam. I walked with John effing Cena. I was just a couple of inches away from him from the Staples Center all the way to the Fleming's restaurant. It was so kick-ass and amazing. So, let me explain to you guys what the hell happened afterwards. So, after SummerSlam, usually after all of the shows, me and my uncle would wait around where all the fans sort of wait for the wrestlers to walk out. I know, geek. But we used to do that, right? Because that was our opportunity to see famous people. And hey, maybe we'll get a picture. Maybe we'll get an autograph. Who knows, right? So we were just waiting around, and literally everybody was practically gone already. Actually, no, there was still quite a few people there. Yeah, no, there was a lot of people still there, like a good amount. Not too many, but a good amount. And John Cena comes out. So for those of you who have ever been to the Staples Center, you know that loading dock area, that is where John Cena came out through, right? And then he just starts walking from the loading dock across Chick Hearn to LA Live into the Fleming's restaurant. That's a good little walk right there. And all the fans were walking with him, including me. We were like, Cena! Woo! And it was such a cool experience. I had never had an experience like that in my entire life. I had never been so close to a celebrity like that. But back in the day, this was a huge thing. And so me, my aunt, my uncle, we were all there, and we got to walk with John Cena, which was kind of awesome. And if you know the area, you would kind of get an idea of how much we were actually able to walk with him. It was very cool, but I can't believe that he just came out just like that, and with all of the people there, and just decided to walk straight into this restaurant. And he was having dinner with I don't even know who, because there were some people that went as far as to go peek, but once he went into the restaurant, we turned back home because, well, the rest, that would just be a little bit too much, right? But I don't know who he had dinner with, but it was kind of cool to just have that experience. But anyway, so those were some of my favorite little memories of SummerSlam 2010, personal memories. But now let's go ahead and actually get into some of the highlights. So this time I want to start in reverse, and I want to get into the biggest highlight for me, which was the main event. So the main event was Team WWE, which was John Cena, John Morrison, R-Truth, Bret Hart, Edge, Chris Jericho, and Daniel Bryan, defeating the Nexus, which was Wade Barrett, David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Darren Young, Skip Sheffield, and Michael Tarver. So there's kind of a lot to say about this. First of all, I guess I'll start off with The Miz. The Miz did have a pretty hilarious promo where he came out and was basically saying oh, I'm going to be part of Team WWE. And he had some pretty good lines in here where he had said that supposedly John Cena told him that he's the only person that can see him. He said that Bret Hart said that The Miz was the real excellence of execution. And so he was having this stupid little promo that was actually pretty funny. And so he makes a big deal about how he's going to join Team WWE, right? But in the end, he ends up getting replaced by a returning Daniel Bryan. So The Miz does not get to be in this match. And it was really funny considering that he had this whole long promo about how he was going to be in it. But we need to talk about Daniel Bryan, Nexus, and this whole story here. So as for Daniel Bryan, he had came back from being fired, legit fired, everyone, because if you recall, he had choked Justin Roberts with a tie, and so the company released him, but he came back a couple months later, and Daniel Bryan had previously been with the Nexus, so when he came back, he was going up against the former group that he was a part of. So this time he was part of Team WWE, even though he had previously been with Nexus before he legitimately got fired. Now, as for Nexus, Nexus was legitimately a hot angle, but I feel like the reason why it never really took off was because they never really pulled the trigger on Wade Barrett. He had a couple of wins over John Cena, but never won the world title. I feel like they got gun shy with having Wade take the world title. And aside from Wade Barrett, he was the only real star of Nexus. Once they lost Daniel Bryan, that kind of hurt them too, because everybody else was just a bunch of guys from developmental. And so I kind of feel like that hurt the push of Nexus. We also saw Bret Hart in this, but unfortunately, he couldn't take any bumps because his abilities had gone down a whole lot due to his stroke, and he was basically just trying to go out on his own terms. And this was the last time we saw Bret Hart be active in a WWE pay-per-view, because after that, he was basically just doing like little WWE live events, and then finally the WWE Raw match in September with Bret and Cena defeating Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez. So that was kind of like the last time we saw Bret Hart be active in an active wrestling match on SummerSlam. So I did like the match itself because I like the way that it started with all of the guys just like fighting each other. And they did a really good job of playing up the whole coexisting thing. I mean, the whole thing with Team WWE was, can they coexist? And even though it's a tired angle now, I thought that they did a good job of playing it up during the moment. And of course, everybody goes in, we get some really cool eliminations. But at the end of it, we end up seeing John Cena versus Wade Barrett. They're the final two. But by the time it's the final two, it ends quickly thereafter with John Cena getting the victory with the STFU and making Wade Barrett tap. So Team WWE for the win. I do want to give some love over to Melina defeating Alicia Fox for the WWE Divas Championship. This was a brief little 5-minute match, but I really did think that Melina put so much freaking effort into this match. And I was always a really big fan of Melina because she was representation for me. I looked up to her so freaking much because, for one, she was Mexican and from Los Angeles, spoke English and Spanish to me, and she had great brown hair. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be just like Melina. You guys have no idea. I looked up to her. I just thought she was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen. And like, she felt like, looking at Melina, I'm like, that sort of felt attainable at the time. I'm laughing at myself. But anyways, I really just did love and appreciate her a whole lot. And so the whole story here was Melina had previously vacated the title, and she eventually came back and she finally won her title back. But then afterwards, Cool came out and tried to steal her moment by taking a selfie with her, but she fights them both, but eventually she's outnumbered. But I really did love seeing the emotion from Melina when she won the WWE Divas Championship. And the next match that I want to talk about is Randy Orton defeating Sheamus via disqualification for the WWE Championship. All right, so there's kind of a bit to get into for this one. First of all, I thought the match was really, really slow. I feel like just because you're going to go long doesn't necessarily mean that the match has to be boring. And eventually, when it finally starts to kick into another gear, we do see Sheamus hit Randy Orton with a bro kick, and Randy Orton kicks out from that. And so Sheamus is like super shocked that that even happens. He goes to grab a chair, and the referee ends up trying to fight with him. So he tries to take away the chair from Sheamus. And so the referee ends up falling to the outside. And so then the referee calls for this to be a DQ. And I thought that it was such a shitty way to end this match. And I feel like we've seen so much of that, where we see people get screwed out of the championship for some silly DQ. So the match itself wasn't too great. And then when it finally started to get good, it got screwed with this DQ finish. And it was all because of the tug and war with the chair, the referee being thrown out. I will say this though, credit to that referee, because that bump that he took, I kind of liked it. He did a good job, but still a pretty silly finish, a pretty silly outcome here. And the next match that I want to talk about is Kane defeating Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was another match that I thought could have been better. So just to kind of rewind a little bit, Kane had won the Money in the Bank that year and cashed in and became champion. He did it for The Undertaker to bring it back to the dark side. And Undertaker had been attacked over Memorial Weekend. And Kane was trying to figure out, like, oh my God, who attacked him? And supposedly The Undertaker was like in this vegetative state, but he managed to mum the words Rey Mysterio. And so that's how we ended up getting this match here, with Kane essentially wanting to put Rey Mysterio in a casket like he supposedly did to The Undertaker. But of course, Rey had nothing to do with it, and Kane was simply in denial that it was him. The match itself was kind of slow. The only parts that were good was when Rey started fighting back, but the parts where Kane was dominating the match was kind of lame. But Kane gets his victory, and they did a really good job. I want to shout them out because at one point they showed Rey Mysterio like by the casket, like Kane was trying to get him in, and it was empty, right? And then all of a sudden, The Undertaker appears from the freaking casket. I gotta tell you, they did a really good job at making it seem like he just magically appeared. Like, even me as a grown-up, I was like, wait, how'd they do that? How'd they do that? What's up? How'd they do that, right? I thought they did a really good job of that. And of course, The Undertaker confronts Kane and Rey Mysterio, and Rey's like, it's not me. And then the whole time Undertaker knew it was Kane. So him and Kane start going at it, and they start choking each other, both of them. But eventually Kane ends up getting the better of The Undertaker and lays him out once again. So I did like this. I liked the story, I think, more so than the match itself, but I was pretty into the story here with, is Rey Mysterio going to be able to prove that it wasn't him? And we all know it's Kane, but was it really Kane? Well, we'll find out. And then eventually it was. So I did like the story surrounding this. And I did like the story, even though it's a little goofy. Trust me, I know it's goofy, but I still kind of enjoyed it. So now let's go ahead and get into these ratings. So in terms of best match, I definitely have to go with the 7-on-7 Team WWE versus Nexus. It was just the most entertaining story, with, again, Nexus being, pretty damn entertaining as well as the whole can they coexist stuff that they started to pull. It was just the better thing, the best thing of the show itself. As for worst match, though, I got to give it to this one here, which I didn't even bother talking about because it sucks so bad. It was the Big Show defeating the Straight Edge Society, CM Punk, Joey Mercury, Luke Gallows in a handicap match. Like, how else do you make the Straight Edge Society look super lame where they can't even win in a handicap match? And it was essentially because CM Punk left his guys high and dry and bounced and left them there to fend for themselves. So, of course, they could not get the win. And boy, I cannot wait to talk about CM Punk and what happened to him for the next video, SummerSlam 2011. Oh, that one's going to be a fun conversation. Now, as for the MVP, I have to give it to John Cena. John Cena getting the win for Team WWE. It was pretty exciting. They pulled me in. So that is why John Cena is the MVP this year. So as for the show rating, I got to give it a 7 out of 13. I primarily gave it a 7 because I did enjoy the main event. But other than that, there really wasn't much to talk about in regards to this show. And so that's why the rating is a little bit lower. So what did you guys think of SummerSlam 2010? Let us know in the comments section below, especially because there hasn't really been a good SummerSlam during the periods of like 2006 through 2010 have been really, really weak. The last SummerSlam that I really enjoyed was 2005. And so I'm kind of feeling like, here's the thing, spoiler for the next video. I enjoyed SummerSlam 2011, but damn, did that main event kind of ruin things for me. And I'll rant and talk about that on the next video. But anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves. What'd you think of this one? Let me know in the comments. And thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. Do not forget to give some love over to our sponsors, Blue Chew. Again, the link is in the description box below. And I'll catch you guys back here for another episode of the SummerSlam Rewind. See you on the next one.